I'm still waiting on my soil and compost delivery, but in the meantime, I've been hardening off my seedlings, starting my summer crops indoors, and my beds are almost ready. I'm in Nova Scotia, that's Zone 6A, and we're still dealing with cool temps and slow soil warm-up at this time of year. So instead of rushing things, here's exactly what I've been focusing on and what you should be doing too. And the first thing I check is if my soil is thawed in my raised beds. And I do that just by, using my my trusty, highly technical plastic spoon method. And then I start poking holes, try to get out of the shadow here. And if it goes in smoothly like this, then I know it's thawed all the way through. And I check it in a few different spots just to see. Usually the middle thaws out last. Oh, that's still good. Still good. Oh, this bed is looking really good. Yeah, this one is looking good. Let's move on to another one. And you'll know, if you can put that spoon in all the way down. Oh, here. I know that there's a layer of frozen there. Just in this little spot here. Yeah. This is not going further than this. And it's funny because just a few inches over it, it goes down all the way through. But if your beds are, if your spoon goes, yeah, here too. So I know this one's not thawed all the way through. Now, this one is, I don't know, how long is this spoon? 8, 10 inches maybe? So that's pretty good. It's still pretty good. It's almost there. And this is going, I could go all the way down with this one. But if it's still frozen in spots, depending on what you're growing, in this particular bed, I'm probably planting, I'm going to install my pea trellis, which has legs that need to go fairly deep into the soil. So I can't put the trellis in. Technically, I could sow the peas and then add the trellis later once I can get the feed in, once the rest of this thaws out. The other thing you want to make sure of is that if your soil is crumbly, that's also a good sign. This means that's your soil is workable. If it's too muddy or wet, the problem that can happen if you work the soil in that condition is that soil contains, they're kind of like pores, they're little air pockets throughout the soil structure. And if you work it when it's wet or muddy, all of those little pores collapse. And then there's no place for the roots to grow into, and that's that it eventually becomes like compacted soil, which we obviously don't want. But if your bed is thawed all the way through, so frozen, even this little patch here, this little patch of frozen that we just saw, I forget where it was. Oh, it's here. So even if I have this, I know that at least 8 inches of this is still pretty good. Now, I'm waiting for my soil and compost delivery to top these beds up, which will give me another couple of inches. So for either slow growing things, I might still risk, sowing them at this point. But if you're planning on putting in a trellis or anything like that needs to get down there, just wait until it's fully thawed. We're talking days at this point. It's not weeks or months or anything like that. It's a matter of days. Now let me show you one that's actually much more frozen. So this one, let me show you where I am in the garden. So this side of the yard gets more sun. The sun faces east, that's east. And then if I turn this way, that's south. But for whatever reason, this side of my yard just gets less sun and they're still frozen a lot more than the other ones. So even up here, I'm still frozen up here. And there's a little crust even on top of the bed. See, I can punch my way through, but this one is still much more frozen than the other side. So what I'm probably going to do is I'll start on that side because these are all thawed or almost there. And then I'll plant into these other beds a little bit later. We're probably talking a week, maybe. It's not too bad. Let me check this one here. Yeah, this one too. The edges always thaw faster. Yeah, this is good. But the middle is still, there's a frozen layer under there, which is fine. It's all good. I know it's tempting to start planting, but rushing this stage can set your whole garden back. So while I'm waiting for things to fully thaw, and I'm waiting for my soil and compost delivery, I've been hardening off my seedlings. So let's go take a look at those. So right now, I'm in the middle of hardening off my seedlings, and this is one of the easiest places to go wrong. They've been growing indoors in really controlled conditions, so putting them straight outside can shock them. And it's the sun and the wind. I started a few days ago, I want to say like 5-6 days ago. Shady days, overcast days are your friend. I start with an hour, then the next day is a couple of hours, and I keep them in the shade. Now that they've been out for several days with an increasing amount of time, like an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, now I'm up to 6 hours. This is the first day that I'm going to put them in a little bit of sun. And it's a little bit windy today, but they're pretty sheltered where they are. It's not just temperature, it's the sun and the wind that really stress them, especially in cool climates like I live in Nova Scotia. And it's really tempting to rush this part, but going too fast is one of the quickest ways to lose your plants. You got to ease them into it. You know how you wouldn't just jump into a pool, or most people wouldn't just jump into a pool without, easing in slowly? Same deal. The sun and the wind can dry them out quickly. I keep a really, really close eye on them during this stage. And I do this for about 7 to 10 days. Determining when to start the hardening off process is essentially, I look at the 10-day forecast, and if the day temperatures are looking good, like right now we're kind of hovering between 3 and 6 degrees Celsius, which they can handle, that's fine. And then I'll just start putting them out. If there's a day in there where the conditions wouldn't be good, if it's super windy or if there's a downpour or something like that, then I would just skip that day. Keep them inside like you normally do, and then continue on the following day. When I bring them back inside, keep them under the grow lights. I've got them under a 16-hour on, 8-hour off. So the time that they're outside, they're still getting light. It's just sunlight as opposed to the grow lights. So I still keep them under that light schedule. After about 7 to 10 days, if the nighttime temps look good for 2 weeks, even if there's like a day or two in there that'll dip close to freezing, I have my frost cover that I can use. I will start planning to transplant them outside. And while I'm doing all of that, I'm making sure my beds are going to be ready, and I'm keeping a really close eye on how my seedlings are actually doing. So most of my seedlings are doing well at this point, but this is the stage where small issues can start to pop up. Now let me show you. So all of this looks really good. They're nice and green, they're firm. And then you come to these two here. You see this? This is looking a little spindly, a little lighter green than it should. And there's actually a story about these two right here. When I was preparing my pods for this year, I reused some pods that things didn't germinate in last year. So I popped them in and I wet the whole tray and, got everything ready, and then I seeded all my seedlings. And these two, they actually sprouted from last year. So I'm not too sure what they are, but I'm going to leave them in there. But clearly this one's not too happy about his life right now. But that's okay. But it's actually a good example of when things aren't doing the way, aren't looking the way that they're supposed to. This one right here is problematic. And usually it's a light issue. It could be a moisture issue if you've got, things are starting to dry out. But this tray looks good. I'll show you another example here. Get the other tray in front of me. I'm sitting on my deck here. It's nice. It's a beautiful day today. And can we just say, look how cute these little kales are. I haven't grown kale very often, but I'm loving these little seedlings. They're adorable. Anyway, moving right along. So I've got some that haven't germinated. That's the corn salad. That's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm going to direct sow some in the garden as well. But these ones, they look okay. They look, they look firm. There might be a little leggy, which is typically a lighting issue. But I'm just being super careful with my new lighting setup this year because of what happened with my turnips. I don't want to put them too close because I don't want them to crisp. But if we're looking for issues, let me try to see. I don't see that many issues here. They're actually looking pretty good. Yeah, the most obvious issue was this guy over here. Was this little guy. One of these things is not like the others. I don't think this guy's going to make it, but we'll see. But everything else looks really good. And then my onions over there that I started from seed. I'm super excited about that. They already look so much better than the starts that I had used last year, those little bulbs, and I planted them directly in the garden. First time growing onions, was not impressed, did not go well. But this is already looking so much better than last year. And seedlings, put all these guys back. The seedlings don't fail overnight. There's always little clues when things start to go amiss. And that's when you can catch them early enough and resolve any issues that could be happening. So at this stage, I'm checking them every day. The light, the moisture, and just overall growth for any warning signs at all. I also started some flowers several weeks ago. I started some forget-me-nots and columbine from seed, and I wanted to give you an update on those. So these are some of the flowers that I seeded, I want to say it was sometime in February. Now on the left side, I have my little separator here. On the left side, I seeded forget-me-nots straight from the packet directly into this tray. And only a few came up, and they're looking good, but like I seeded a lot in this tray and only a few came up. So I added more seeds, which you can see here that they're starting to come up now too, which is fine. Now on this side, I was doing an experiment with the columbine. One was directly out of the seed packet. I had stored my seed packets in the fridge in a Ziploc for several weeks before I actually attempted this, and nothing came up. However, I'm seeing seeds here. I'm seeing hold on, where's my finger here? Like these little guys here, but I don't think it's actually the columbine. I think it's when I extra seeded the forget-me-nots, maybe with watering, they just kind of slipped over here. I'm not sure, but I'm going to leave them there just to see. Now, that for the columbine, that was experiment number 1. Straight out of the seed packet, no true, cold stratification other than storing them in the fridge. Then I started another tray I had sprinkled a bunch of columbine seeds onto a damp paper towel, put that in a Ziploc, put that into the fridge, and then I think it was 3 weeks later, took them out and seeded them in a tray, and look at those. You see the difference? Incredible difference compared to just sowing them over here directly from the packet without doing anything special. They were, moistened seeds stored in the fridge for 3 weeks, and then I just took them out, seeded them normally, and this is how much they've grown so far. And I'm probably going to have to get my fan in here going just to, I do this several times a day just to strengthen them, but having a fan would probably help them along. So this is the second experiment. The third experiment, I'm going to seed the rest of the columbine seed that I have, as well as the forget-me-nots, directly outside into the soil and see what that gives. So that's going to be an interesting comparison. I can already say that this one with direct seeding, without anything special or moistening or stratification or whatnot, or wet stratification, I should say, because they were cold stratified. They were just stored in the fridge for a certain amount of time, but they weren't wet. Whereas these ones were in a damp paper towel, and it's like night and day. Like these germinated within a week of me sowing them and taking them out of the fridge, out of their damp paper towel. And these are both cold hardy, so they're going to go out before my summer crops do. And I also started my summer seeds. They're in there, and I'll give you a close-up in a second. I reused my turnip tray. I basically tossed all of those out that failed. I'm using the same tray for my summer crops, and I've done. Let me see. This is my tray number 2 now, where I've got my cherry tomatoes. I've got the sun sugar, the sweet 100. I've got buffalo steak tomatoes. I have Genovese basil, Thai basil, oregano, parsley, dill, and marigolds. And that's basically how they're seeded in the tray. And then we're going to take a peek because the marigolds are already coming up. And I just did this, I want to say 3-4 days ago. They're super excited. Oh, I see one back there. Which one is that? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the top left. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's N. Oh, the basil. So the basil is coming up too already. So fast. But there they are. So summer seeds are started. These are usually going to be transplanted out sometime in mid-May, the May long weekend usually, or obviously depends on the weather. And Even though I'm not planting yet, there's actually a lot happening. If you're in this in-between stage, here's what I'd focus on. Check if your soil is actually ready, start hardening off your seedlings, watch for early signs of stress, and start your warm season crops indoors. It might feel slow, but this stage sets everything up for a strong and healthy garden. So as soon as my soil arrives, I'll be finalizing the beds, planting all of this out, direct sowing what I wanted to direct sow, and I'll show you the whole process. If you're at a similar stage, let me know where you're at. I'd love to hear it.